So, I wanted to talk a little bit about autism, being on the spectrum, having social anxiety, having social skills issue. And I've been told all three and many, many more of why I am not just naturally socially in tune or was, and I'm still developing, I'm still learning, always communication, social skills, and all of that, because I do think relationships and communication is absolutely everything across the board, whether you're talking about career or your social, your personal life, or just in general being able to negotiate, let's say, a lower bill. And that's very important. But I do remember one time in high school where my high school boyfriend, my high school sweetheart, told me that he wasn't sure if I even cared or not at all. And he had tears in his eyes. He was crying, and he's not the type of man who would cry. And I felt, it's not even that I felt bad. I was just so, obviously I didn't know that this was a thing. And I was so puzzled that this would even be a thought in his head, because in my head I was thinking, like, of course I like you, and of course I love you, I'm with you, so shouldn't that be enough? Shouldn't literally that be enough? But it wasn't the case, and it wasn't the first time I was told that. I was told that by my best friends in high school, who they just decided that they could no longer be friends with me anymore because it just felt like I didn't care. And then this theme kept coming up. It just feels like you're cold. It feels like you don't care. It feels like you're not even thinking of us. And when in fact I felt personally that I was always thinking about them, and I definitely care, and I definitely was doing the best that I could to show it, but for some reason it wasn't coming across. And it was such a low point in my life when I was 19, and my best friends in high school abandoned, in my head, they abandoned me, and my high school sweetheart broke up with me, and this all happened within a month time period. And it felt like, okay, I have nobody in my life. And me and my mother, we weren't that close at the time. I didn't really have family, so I didn't have anybody close with to me, and I felt like the most unloved person in the freaking world. And I thought I was doing my absolute best, trying to love and show that I care, and beyond showing that I care, I thought everything was fine. And then when somebody comes to you and tells you that in fact, no, it's not fine at all, and not only is it not fine, but it's so not fine that I'm going to end this relationship right now. And that wasn't the first time that happened to me. In my early 20s, same situation. I can't tell if you care. I don't know if you care, and it's too much. I can't take it anymore. We need to stop being friends. We can't go out anymore. We can't have this relationship anymore, whether it's even professional or personal. And it was at a point where it was just too much. It was too much. And I decided that I needed to learn. I needed to learn about, okay, well, what do people expect of me? What am I doing wrong? What is wrong with me? Because clearly the common denominator was this gal right here, and I thought I was doing phenomenal. So obviously my own assessment had to be wrong. I just had to be logical about it, and it was clearly wrong because I'm getting the same feedback over and over. So anyway, that brought me to the point where I was listening to a financial podcast because I was redoing my whole finances. It was all great. And then this guy said, well, you have to look at your relationships, because how you treat people is probably how you treat your money, and there's no disassociation. It's all correlated. So if you're the type of person who can't sustain a relationship, right, let's say a significant other, because you just want to hop to the next thing, you're probably doing the same thing with your money. And I was like, what? That was so revolutionary for me, because even though I wasn't hopping, I mean, I was hopping in terms of, yeah, I would probably break up with a guy after 2 years or 3 years. And some people consider that hopping, some people don't. But I certainly never went out with a single guy thinking it would be forever. I always had it in my back of my head, at the very least, that, okay, 2 years from now I'm gonna break up with him. And that was already a plan in my head from the moment I started going out with him. Whether I was so madly in love with him or not, it didn't matter. I just thought, doesn't matter. Either way, 2 to 3 years from now, I'm going to break up with this guy. And I always thought that way, a short-term mentality in a lot of ways. And it's true, because that's how I treated my money. I would think far enough to think in years, but anything beyond 2 to 3 years, I couldn't fathom. I couldn't invest for something 10, 20 years from now, because it was too long. It was too out of reach for me. And then the moment that person said that on the financial podcast, I decided to start dating for long-term effect, for possible marriage, whether we get married or not, but just for a long-term relationship, for possible lifetime relationship. And when I made that decision, I started dating people for a long-term relationship, my money started to work for me. That made sense long-term. And I don't know if maybe because I was aware of that, whatever it may be, but it's definitely changed the way I viewed money, viewed relationships, viewed my career, viewed everybody and everything in my personal life. It changed everything. And I do think that the relationship we have with people really affects our relationship we have with money, with our body, with our spiritual lives, with our personal lives, obviously, with our careers. And they're all correlated and they all connect in some way. And when one is suffering, it's hard to hyper thrive, at least long term, in another area. Eventually it falls back down because there's something that's just pulling it down. And so a lot of times for people, it is relationships, because it's something you can easily skip over and look over until you're 40 and you realize, I can't rely on anybody. I don't have friends. I don't have a partner. You know, and it's harder when you're older and it's easier when you're younger. So anyway, I decided that I'm going to take full control of that while I still have the energy and the tenacity and the work ethic to really work on it diligently. And so that's the whole reason why I went into communication, and not just communication, but social skills, and having that interest into learning more about relationships and learning more about what is this all about in life. Because it's not just about other people, it's about relationship with myself that affects my relationship with other people, and it's all correlated. But it starts with communication, in my opinion, because if you can't communicate with other people, you probably aren't communicating well with yourself. If you can't ask the right questions for things outside of you, you're probably not asking right questions for things inside of you. And then it just affects every part of your life, whether it's work, money, fitness, health, spirituality, your personal relationships, just everything. Communication is literally everything, and it's everywhere, and it doesn't lie, right? It just gives back what you put out. So you have to put out the right things in order to get back exactly what it is that you need to go forth in your life, to do the best that you can. And so that's something that I just truly am super passionate about, because I know for a fact that it's everything. And I would even argue that it's the only thing, because all of everything else is the icing. It's the foundation to everything. Yeah. Anyway, if you haven't already subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, comment below, let me know what you thought about communication and how it affects your relationships and really everything in your life, because I truly think it affects literally everything. So comment below, let me know, and I will see you on the next video.